why did you actually agree to do this with me?
Why not? I mean, I looked at your channel. I liked the stuff you said, and I thought, why not do it? And perhaps I should be more difficult to get hold of. Perhaps I should be more difficult to do podcasts with.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we have an interesting conversation.
So Andrew, tell me, what is this?
This is my father's hand symbol. So my father used to do this when he was playing chess. He
Right.
would sit there and he would focus like this. And
Okay.
I guess I copied it because that's the whole point of being a son to a father, right? You're supposed to copy your father in all ways and you're supposed to replicate them. And I feel like I've done a very good job of doing exactly that. I feel like that's the exact point of even having a son in the first place. It's them to be a replica of you. Me personally, I want to create 25 Andrew Tates to cause problems into the future. That's what I want to be, a little army of troublemakers. So I saw my father doing it and I copied it, and it's a power mudra. I think a lot of people know that now, but there's
Balances the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain as well, right?
Absolutely. And it works. Sometimes, if I need power, it's kind of like Power Rangers, where they get the thing out
Yeah.
and then it powers them up. I can just do this and then it's ready for war. So I did it famously when I was arrested. I did it in the police car, and I do it very often. And there's been some conspiracy theories, I'm Illuminati,
all that
and all
stuff.
these kind of things. But it's interesting to read these. It's very interesting when people show them to me online and they say, look, we think you're one of this team or one of that team.
Yeah.
Especially as I'm trying so hard to tell the world how things actually work. I feel like my arrest, though, has proven that I'm genuine. I feel like that
100%.
the one thing that they made the mistake with trying to take me down is they proved I'm not on their side. So anyone now with a functioning brain goes, okay, well, he's not in their club because they're screwing this guy over. So anyone who's still out there, with their social media platforms and jumping up and down and performing and doing whatever, those are the ones.
But you know how it also is, right? A lot of these people, they think that, all right, this guy is clearly on that side. He's actually genuinely honoring himself and all that stuff. But there's still some sort of hidden agenda, because at the end of the day, people want to say what they want to say and what they believe. Yeah. So how do you get past that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be people who have theories about you. There's always going to be somebody who believes X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But it's the controversy that makes it interesting. Like, my brother and I talk about this quite often. You need both sides of a story to perpetuate it. If it's all just one side of the story and it's accepted truth, then it's not interesting. So even my haters who say that I've actually committed crimes, or the people who say I'm not actually a good guy or whatever, and I've joined this team and I'm secretly a controlled opposition, you need both sides, because it's both sides and the arguing that perpetuates it. You need people who hate you. You need people who love you. And all my haters do a fantastic job of keeping me extremely relevant, and I have to thank them for that. So I have no concerns for certain people in the world disliking me. In fact, I'm very aware that that's an important side of the coin, and I'm glad they exist.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I can't imagine doing it, right? Because I wake up every day and I have things to do and I have a very busy life and I'm trying to be successful and I have beautiful children and wives to see, cars to drive. I have interesting things to do. But if people want to wake up and dedicate their life towards hating me and trying to take me down, which of course just adds hot air to my balloon, then I'm going to take it. Thank you very much. I mean, you're unpaid members of staff and they do a fantastic job. So
tell me, what is your opinion about India? What was your visit like in Mumbai?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I wish I knew you when I went, and I'm actually going to ask you a question, sir. I want you to tell me what India's like, but because I got there and it wasn't like I expected it. Firstly, it's not cheap. I stayed in the Four Seasons and I spent the same money in Mumbai as I did in Dubai.
Yeah,
it's very expensive.
True.
Which didn't matter, but I guess that just surprised me.
Yeah.
And then traffic's crazy.
Were you as successful as you are today?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
At that point.
It was many years ago. Traffic's crazy. I had no idea where to go, what to do. And I think it's a metaphor for the entire world and life as a whole. It's not where you are, it's who you're with.
Yep.
It's the same for every city. It's the same, even just to quickly go back, this summer I spent the entire summer on house arrest and I had the best summer of my life. Best summer of my life, because there was like 20 of my friends living in this massive house, pool party every day.
Yeah, I was seeing those videos of yours online as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. So it's not about where you are, it's who you're with. I'm sure Mumbai could be a lot better than I experienced, but I didn't know what I was doing.
It's really good, it's really fancy, but once again, like I mentioned earlier, it is the matrix, right? You have every type of human being in there. So staying centered is very, very crucial.
Yeah.
You have to be you. You just can't allow yourself to be taken for a ride.
Do you think it has like you're saying it's very fancy, it has like a Dubai vibe if you know where to go? There's all this high-end stuff and high-end bars. And
Yeah, you've been there, you've done that, so you know what that's like. So Mumbai is definitely not a place that would fascinate you anymore. Whereas there are a whole bunch of places in India that you'd love exploring. Like there's Kashmir. It's beautiful. It's like Romania, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then we have a whole bunch of other places like Rajasthan, Jaipur, culturally very, very rich.
And it's such a big country.
It is huge. It's very diverse.
Yeah.
It is very, very diverse. Like even in Mumbai, you must have seen the Four Seasons. Right besides that, there's a slum.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's Slumdog Millionaire for you.
Yeah. And you go. I was in Mumbai, and people are like, "When are you gonna go see the Taj Mahal or Taj Mahal?"
That's
I'm like,
Agra. Yeah.
I'm like, it's far.
Yeah.
People think India is all like, yo, you just go to Mumbai and you see it all.
Bro, the
You need
minute
a long time
the
there.
minute you're out of this whole mess that you're presently in, I'd like to bring you over to India, man.
And I will accept that invitation, but I have a feeling this mess is gonna morph and change and continue for quite a while.
Do you think you actually call this upon yourself at times? Because I've always seen that, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy also.
Yeah, people say words are powerful, and I understand that. But I also knew what was going to happen. I truly believed it was going to happen, and I thought by preempting it and making it clear that it's all a setup, it'll make it very easy for the obvious thinking person to understand what's going on. So I know that words are powerful, but I have a very interesting view on that, to be honest, because I often say things which I perhaps shouldn't say. I don't know if I'm goading the universe. I don't know if I'm challenging them. But I don't operate from a realm of fear, so I'm just not afraid to say certain things, whether they come true or not. But I knew what they were going to do eventually. I knew it was going to happen. There was no way that they were going to allow me to continue to be as relevant as I was, saying the things that they don't want me to say.
Correct.
And that's what the law has. That's what the government has. That's how the matrix works. They have law. That's all they have. A government's solution to everything is law. If you go to a government and say, we have a problem, they say, okay, pass a law that fixes the problem. So, and then they have the legal system. So if you upset them, they just get the legal system. They set the dogs away. So it was very obvious play, which I knew was going to happen. And now it's evolving, and we're going to be in this process for quite a long time, and multiple countries are involved, and who knows how long it's all going to last. And the great thing about all of it, the truly amazing thing about it is, at the end of it all, whether I'm innocent or guilty, they can't give me cancer. They can't put me in a car crash.
Right.
They can't do anything that's genuinely happy. I mean, there's people out here in the world today who are experiencing terrible things all day, every day. The worst they can do is put me in jail. And I had a pretty good time in jail. Yeah, I mean, I have no problems with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
I'm not going to ask you any jail questions, man. I've seen that. I've studied that.
Yeah, it's been done a bunch of times. But the punishment for all of this garbage really isn't scary. In fact, it's quite... I know this sounds insane, but the idea of going and spending some time in jail, I find quite tempting.
And reassuring.
Well, it's just, it would be a unique experience that I'd get to look back on and get to enjoy, and it'd be a different level to the map of life. And I have no problems at all going. I will not be sad for a single second. I think the frustration of the initial arrest and not knowing it was going to happen was different. But now that I understand it's a possibility, I'm completely at peace with it. In fact, I'm kind of tempted by it. It'd be very interesting to go. I think it'd be a cool story.
You don't get to come to India then, man.
I'll come India afterwards. That's the thing. I'm a young man, right? I'll come India afterwards. I mean, I'm not that young. I'm 37. But
Bro, I'm 35.
See, you're young.
Yeah, I am.
I'm old.
No, you are, bro. He's 37. He looks younger than me.
I'm 37, but I often think about this, and this is, you can think about life this way in general, but when I'm 42, all this junk will be over. I'll still have hundreds of millions of dollars. I'll still have beautiful children. I'll still have all my houses and my cars, and so none of it matters really in the grand scheme of life. It's not like I'm going to be losing the best years of my life. It's not like it's going to last for a very long time. Even if they try and stitch me up, I'll be in jail for years.
Right.
So nothing. It really isn't a concern to me, and I guess sometimes I feel old because I can't fight like I used to. But then sometimes I feel very young, reaching the level of success I've reached at only 37 years of age.
Yep.
And you go, and sometimes I go to these meetings with other Bugatti owners, or I used to go and look at development properties for these 20, 30, 40, $50 million apartments. And everyone there is 50 plus, 60 plus,
Dubai?
gray hair.
Yeah, this was in Dubai?
This was in a few different places,
All right.
Dubai and Germany, a few different places. And I'd walk in there and be the youngest man by a mile, and I'd say, oh, maybe I am still young.
Story of my life, man.
Yeah, well, there you go. And usually youth comes with a lack of wisdom, but I try very hard to make sure that's not the case. And then you have unlimited energy in your youth. And if you're wise enough at a young age and you have the energy of youth, then you can do a lot of things.
How do you overcome all this fear of yours? Because, doing this interview right now, I don't want to call it an interview. I'm just going to call this a tete-a-tete, right?
Yeah.
Because it helps me calm my nerves as well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it that elaborate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm telling myself, how has this man actually overcome all of his fear? I'm overcoming myself right now in the midst of this interview with you.
Well, I'm not sure I've overcome all my fears. I think that fear actually increases your ability to perform in many ways.
Right.
I think that being scared is a fantastic thing in the right scenario. If you're not afraid, then you're not sharp. When you walk along the street at night and it's dark and you're a little bit intimidated and you're a little bit scared because you're in a bad part of town, your hearing is sharper, your eyes are sharper, your reactions are quicker. So I think that fear is a fantastic thing in the right scenario. There are certainly times where you need to be calm and you can't let it overcome you, but I think fear is a fantastic thing. I do have fears that I have not yet overcome, and I don't want to overcome them. I do have the fear of not being able to take care of my family, for example, if the Matrix attack is successful. I do have fears of, I call it fear, but this actually sounds quite arrogant. It's not a fear, but I love now, and I'm very accustomed to having anything I want all of the time. I would hate to go back. So I do wake up and think I don't really feel like working today, but Andrew, you can have anything you want all of the time. If I want a Curtin's egg, I buy a Curtin's egg. So yeah, I am motivated by the lack. I'm motivated by the dark and the yin and the yang. I'm not motivated by the light. When I buy a brand new $6 million car, I'm not motivated to work harder because I have a $6 million car. I'm motivated to work harder because I would hate not being able to buy a $6 million car. And I feel like perhaps my whole life I've been motivated in the dark as opposed to
But is that an attachment to lack in some way? Still?
I think it is, but I think it's just an attachment to the dark. I think the masculine essence is. Even when I was a professional fighter, I wanted to win. But the primary reason I wanted to win is so that I could make him lose. It wasn't about me winning, it was about him losing. He spent 8 weeks calling out my name and telling the world he's gonna beat me and telling his wife, don't worry wife, it's gonna be okay, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna pay for the kids, don't worry, I love you, I'm training so hard. And he's told the whole world he's gonna beat me. So by forcing him to lose in front of his family, that gave me satisfaction more than winning itself. I've always been attached to the dark of the world. I feel like the dark of the world has always motivated me. So on the yin and the yang scale, I have a lot of light and I have so much beauty and I have a very blessed life.
Yeah.
But it is because I've been so deeply in the dark and understand the realities of how the world works. But that's just always been what motivated me. If I want to, once again, put it down to something asinine like buying a car, if I want to buy a Kernan's egg, I don't care about driving the car. I just want other people to not be able to have it. And I just want to be able to say, look, I can spend $6 million on WhatsApp in 10 minutes.
Who are these other people?
Other rich people who have to think about it, or finance it, or contemplate it,
Correct.
or sell a house.
Right.
I just want to be able to like, bing, bing, they took it, ha, ha, ha.
Instant gratification, impulsive, what?
I think it's just about the others losing. I think the world has tried very hard to breed this out of men, but I am unapologetic about it, and I'm not afraid to admit it that I am absolutely interested in conquest. I'm interested in peacocking my feathers and being the best. I'm interested in showing off. I'm interested in alpha male high. Look at me. I have everything. I can do everything. Look at me. This is who I am. And they say that this is all bad and toxic masculinity, but that's again just a massive psyop. The entire world was built off the back of toxic masculinity. All the high buildings in Mumbai are built by men who want to prove themselves and say, look what I can do. I can literally go and build a building that's 100 stories high. You need an ego. And I'm ego-driven and ego-fueled, and I don't let it control me, but satisfying my ego makes me happy, and feeling pride makes me happy.
How do you prevent the ego to sabotage you?
Well, the ego sabotages you when you allow it to delude you. And this is what a lot of people do, because they'll have an ego without the real-world accomplishments, and then they become deluded, and then they become non-competitive. To remain effective, you need to be very firmly in the real world. I have a massive ego, but I'm also a realist. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. I don't apologize ever for saying what I'm good at, and I will sit here and admit the things I cannot do. But as long as you have feedback that you're going to take on board and you have a good team around you and you're also self-analyzing all the time, then you can remain a realist and an egotist, and then I think you'll do very well. The masculine ego has built the entire world. It's the reason nearly every single man ever went to war and conquered anything. The masculine ego, in fact, it's very interesting. I was talking to a girl the other day. I was saying that men crave adventure more than she was saying, oh no, I like adventure. I don't just want to sit at home. I like to go out and explore things and go to restaurants, etc. I said, no. What you like to do is run around, going to restaurants and going shopping. You call that an adventure. Masculine adventure is the men who decided to go to Antarctica and freeze to death. There's no shopping, there's no sushi. They just felt like they had to do it to satisfy their ego and to place their names in the history books.
True.
So there's something inside of every man that feels that, and they try and breed it out of men because they're afraid of that masculine spirit, because that masculine spirit is hard to conquer, and they want to conquer us all. But I have no problems admitting that I am motivated by the dark of the yin and the yang, and I have no problems admitting that my ego motivates me, and that I'm motivated by pride, and I like to feel proud, and I do things that allow me to feel proud. And as long as I stay realistic and I don't become egocentric, then I feel like it makes me as competitive as possible.
So you keep upskilling yourself?
Well, you have to always push the limits, right? What's the point in living otherwise?
What are you doing right now? Just keep yourself up.
Well, this is the thing. It's in general. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym and you try and lift more weights. It doesn't matter if you try and make more money that you can't possibly spend.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you need more beautiful children. You always need something to do, right? And you always need somewhere to push. They say when you retire, you die. I would argue that's probably true. Or sharks die.
No, that's true. That is true.
Of course it's true.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of men out there who perhaps are battling with themselves because the matrix and the system has told them, no, you're not supposed to think that way. You're not supposed to be that way. You're egotistical. You're driven by pride. You should get rid of all that. And you should, I don't know what, become soppy goo instead. Just some porridge mess that the matrix can program. But no, you're supposed to wake up and look in the mirror and say, this is my name. This is who I am. I'm going to be the best version of myself. And everybody's going to respect me. And I'm going to force them to, because that's the way the world works. Respect can be squeezed out of people. They don't have to like you. You can't squeeze someone liking you.